Oh my gosh. Thule's trying to Yoko Ono the party.
Oh, that's it. Time to break out the tombstone.
Does that make Aggramar John?
Yeah, I guess. That makes Rafal Paul McCartney, right? The real question is, who's Ringo? And why is it Callum?
I was gonna say it's definitely Callum, and it's because he was late to the party, you know.
And we have to explain everything to him.
Yep.
And nobody has a problem with Callum. Does that make Nari George? Because we all kind of have a problem with Nari.
Aggramar has a problem with a lot of people, but he loves you all anyway.
Well, don't tell Rachel that.
I've tried.
Yeah,
it didn't
definitely
take.
don't tell her that.
Yeah, don't tell Rachel anything.
What's up?
Oh, hi, Rachel.
Hello, yees and haws.
Wrong game.
Oh, no.
Wait, what's going on?
We're heading out to the desert, apparently. Yeehaw!
And we're not telling you anything.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
All right, so Rachel's given the recap of what happened last time, right?
Oh, totally, yep.
I think she needs to. It was mostly about her.
I think the only person who can give the recap is Thule.
The question is, does Rachel actually know what happened in the session?
I kind of do. I have to admit, I was listening to it in the hotel room, and then I was listening to it when I was in an Italian restaurant.
I like the commitment.
Right, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm the oldest one by far, so I don't feel, no one really talks to me, so it's like, why the fuck not? If no one's going to talk to me, why just not listen to a D&D session? I'm sorry. It's a pity
When you say the oldest one by far, you mean by what, like 2 years, 3 years?
A majority of them are 18, 19.
So what you're saying is there's still a bigger gap between us and you than you and them.
I'm sorry. I think the next oldest one is 22, but it's still like...
I think there's a bigger gap between me and every single other person on this call.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. How old are you, Ben?
41.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, you're 9 years older than I am.
Yeah, 9 for me as well.
Good old
I don't
42.
say...
89, baby.
Couple months on me, don't you, Nick?
I was born in August.
1 month. Ah!
And Rachel was born in like 2002.
I think she was born in 99. When were you born, Rachel?
What's up?
When were you born? 98? Something like that?
Who?
How old are you?
The one we're talking to.
Oh, she cut out. Great.
We would like to speak the person known as Rachel, who is on the inside.
Can Rachel come out to play?
There is no Rachel. There is only
gone.
Zool.
Only Zool.
She's too young to get that reference.
Didn't they reboot that like 5 years ago?
Not with the same plot.
Oh, I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
They also have a new Ghostbusters coming out like now.
I saw that with the Stranger Things kid, right?
I think so.
I heard it was doing
If
pretty
you're
well.
Talking, we can't hear you, by the way. Oh, there you are.
Okay, so I said 97.
97.
Yeah.
You're 97 years old?
Of course I am.
Wow.
I fought in the war.
In gnome years.
Yeah.
Okay, so what time period is 97? Like winter, spring?
Spring?
Okay. So I was finishing my junior year of high school.
Oh no.
I now officially cannot talk to anyone else on this call.
I'm sorry.
All right. Good night, Ben.
Sorry, Ben. Yeah, I was in the 3rd grade.
I hate you all.
Well, it's been nice playing with you, old man.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, I kind of watched maybe the same stuff that you watched when you were a teenager. I think in the early 2000s. Some of them are good, like Captain Planet. He's a hero.
Gonna take pollution down to 0.
Yeah. Captain Planet. He's a hero. Watched a bit of Thundercats. The Flintstones too. I'm
Thunder?
kidding.
Thunder.
Thundercats?
Thundercats, oh.
Oh.
I was always a Ninja Turtles guy myself.
Which one?
The OG.
No. Which turtle?
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm a Donatello fan personally. You will notice a pattern of Nick's is that he's a fan of the smart character.
I was Michelangelo.
Raphael.
Not shocked.
Does not
that.
surprise me.
I'm also not shocked that Rachel liked Raph.
I like
I
Michael
watched
because
I'll give you 4 guesses who I was.
Master Splinter?
No.
the
Bebop.
Shredder.
You strike me as a Leonardo man.
Absolutely.
Ah,
Dual swords?
I like the size.
Question: he was actually a fan of the Shredder.
Yeah, I was Michelangelo because he skateboarded and he was the color orange. That was why.
I was gonna say it's because he's the goofy one. That's why you like him.
No,
You-
I don't
Yeah,
relate
it's-
with goofy people really.
Are you sure?
Oh no.
No, I am goofy, but I do
Pizza
not
Brothers.
relate to goofy people because it makes me awkward and I don't like it.
Yeah, Jar Jar Binks isn't one of your favorite
No,
characters of all time.
no,
Are you sure?
no. I'm 100% positive.
As a Jar Jar fan, I don't know.
No, I was very much in the anti-Jar Jar camp.
No, I figured.
I think Lucas may have actually sent us loaded dice.
Why?
Because I just
think it might
rolled
have
my
bag.
I rolled my 2 D10s as a D100 twice, and both times got 62.
You're welcome.
The year you were born, right? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kidding. I heard Summer laugh.
She's alive!
I was on time and then I wasn't.
She's done hating us now.
No, I was just making coffee and my dog's been having stomach issues, so I had to put his thing in his water.
My dog's been having being a dick issues. Why are you being such a dick, Sammy? Yeah, no answer to that.
Sammy?
So what you're saying is that Summer hates us, or doesn't hate us all anymore. She just hates Rachel /
I
Sarah.
don't hate Rachel.
What?
Hmm.
What?
Just because I put her on
Aw.
blast constantly doesn't mean I hate her. I just lost my D20.
I love
Probably
how,
won't need it.
I love how Ben stirs the pot and then tries to fix it later.
Just saying, I was like, I couldn't react in character, but I had to sit there and listen to one of our party members rat out and like sell out another party member.
I told you, it's all part of a plan.
But it's okay. It's only your character's girlfriend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I mean, like, what I wonder is this the first time that one of our characters has sold out another one of our characters?
Technically second, but yeah.
I
What was the first?
I don't want to say.
Who'd you sell me out to?
Who did you sell out in general?
I didn't.
I mean, technically, I've sold out Kevin twice.
Yeah.
Once was to Rafal.
Mhm.
That's true. That
The whole
is
Thieves
true.
Guild thing.
That is true.
Weapons dealing.
Okay, so besides Thule selling out Kevin, is there anyone else?
no, I think because Kevin is the only one that was warranted being sold out.
Right,
Generally, we play nice.
None of the One Horn Pirates got sold out. None of our Star Wars characters got sold out.
But as long as it's Thule narking on Kevin, it's double jeopardy, so we can't charge her with the same thing twice.
That is true.
I guess you could kind of say that we sold Lucas's Wizard a little bit.
You mean the one that Amanda fried with lightning?
The one that Amanda murdered. Yeah.
Yeah, I got sold out real quick.
Snitches get stitches, bitches.
Yep, and dwarves lose hands. That's what happens.
Is it?
It's a dangerous world out there.
Yep.
Have you seen a dwarf? I haven't.
I don't think dwarves lose hands so much as they chop them off of themselves.
He lost the second one.
All dwarves are Skywalkers.
Yes, indeed.
They do have a flair for the dramatic.
It's true. I have inspiration.
Yeah, we all got it for good RP in the projector room.
Did I use it already?
I don't think we've had a chance to use it.
Nope. I just don't think I marked it down.
I thought I did. I'm going to say that I did. I think I did.
Well, why don't we test this thing out? Have everybody go ahead and roll a d20 to see who's going to give the recap.
Oh God, I need to roll Midland.
Oh, I'm rolling my die that Lucas gave me here. So here we go.
Highest roll gets to give the recap.
I got a 15.
No, he rolled a 2 the first die.
10, right in the middle.
I'm gonna have to
13.
Because I genuinely
13.
just lost my d20 because it flew out of the
I mean, 13 doesn't bode well for me, and this week, I think I might fail a class.
God, I'm not a good person to recap because I wasn't in a lot of last session. I want to tell everyone I love you all, and I want you to know how supportive I am of you. Because I did a lot of just listening last session.
You did, and you're grade A sport for it.
I did.
I did.
Nothing last session. Rafal played with his lions, summoned his Pegasus, and walked through the city. I think that is everything Rafal did last session.
I felt so bad because it was towards the end of the session before I realized it was the end of the session, and I was like, "Fuck." We didn't get to do any downtime with Rafal.
Literally,
and now's the flashback where we find out what Rafal did.
We talked in the inn a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna try my best. Okay, so we started out with Thule and Agrimar and the resurrection of her ex-boyfriend Vale. Which then they filled Vale in on kind of where he is, what happened, everything with Sister Larice and the Oracle, and Rafal being a badass, and everyone else being badass. But for some reason, it kept coming back to Rafal somehow. And I believe Vale didn't understand that Thule wasn't part of the church anymore, but did put together that Agrimar and Thule were sleeping together. Oh, well, I mean, we assume it hasn't actually happened in canon, but, you know, they're romantically linked. There we go.
Nobody told Vale otherwise.
Romance ensues. And so we have the formulation of a triangle, is really what I'm trying to say. Is there is a Thule Agrimar Vale triangle going on.
We finally got our Team Edward or Team Jacob going on.
I mean, I am solidly Team Agrimar. You know, like even though, maybe not. Maybe Thule is breaking apart Rafal's group. I don't know, but.
And she'd do it with a smile on her face.
God, she would. That's what those bards do. You can't trust them. So after that, Rafal was training the young ones in the living room, and Nari was
eating a celestial soul.
Right, that all happened too. I yelled at Nari last session. Yeah.
She took some con damage. And there was a light
Permanent
explosion
con
that
damage.
woke a couple of people up.
Yeah, Thule and Rafal went out there and... Was it Thule? It was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thule and Rafal went out there and kind of confronted her about the
Eating angels.
the sustainable nature of her condition. Let's put it that way. That's the nicest way to put it. The non-sustainability of the nature of her condition. And it came back to the same predicament that it has come to before, where Rafal's like, please don't eat the people of this city. And she's like, I kind of need to eat the people of this city. And so Rafal, in the end, was like, fine, bounty board, go ahead. I can't stop you, but I just know I'm disappointed. And then Agrimar came up and talked to her. I don't remember what y'all talked about.
Agrimar suggested a different way that didn't involve her killing people on the bounty board to keep you happy.
And she said no to that, if I recall.
She said, if it came down to it.
Got it. Right. It was something about draining you, right?
Yeah, giving her my blood instead of her killing people.
Yeah. Okay, so we got a vampire on our hands, and...
We have for the last year.
Yeah, it's starting to get complicated. And then after that is when Rafal made his way to the castle, summoning up Shaka and Nuwazi to play with them a little bit, and also summoning up Achilles and making sure everybody was happy. And then he paraded through the streets like you do, cape billowing. And then Thule, Nari, and Callum did some things last session, invisible. He had some invisibility shenanigans. Where I don't... Ben, you're gonna have to fill me in. I don't remember everything that Callum did, because I didn't realize he was doing things being invisible.
That's no problem.
Being sneaky sneak.
I'll let you finish, and then I'll go back to what Callum did.
Well, Callum, because eventually Callum, Nari, and Thule are like, we're going to go into the sewers, right? Because, that's right, they go to the Baylor's retreat. So the three of them go to the Baylor's retreat, and they meet up with the guy, hold on, don't tell me, I'm going to get him, Reese Kincaid. They meet up with Reese, and there's an exchange of information, and the soul stones, is that what they're called?
Yep.
Yes.
And Reese was like, yo, you didn't tell us the truth. These things were really hard to get. We had people die. Nari's like, oh, I'm sorry, playing dumb. And like, and then eventually Nari, or
she
Thule...
wasn't playing dumb. She didn't know what was down there.
Yeah, but she's like, I don't know what they do. Oh, no, I'm kidding. But eventually Thule coughs up a bunch of gold to buy a bunch of soul stones, and I believe the stones came from S4, because that's the one that's missing off the map. No, it's not. It's up there. Isn't that the where they came from, though?
That is, yes, because that's kind of near the Vale's headquarters.
Nailed it. So, Reese was like, yo, we're going to keep exploring for these things. So they're going to go check out S5. Y'all are going to go check out S3. Is that right?
Yep.
Man, I'm nailing this. After that, Thule ran into one Gru Serrato, who was gambling at the Baylor's retreat, and she talked to him. What did you talk to him initially about? There was a reason you wanted to talk to him.
Reese asked Thule about if there were any other Belfrites in the city. She said to her knowledge there was not, and he mentioned that there was a fire at Lord Montaigne's estate, and that the sergeant was assigned to finding out, who owned an item from that person. So he pointed her in his direction, and she got the info out of Gru.
and then proceeded to sell Kevin out.
Yes.
And
Out of earshot of both Callum and Nari.
Correct, because I believe Callum even rolled a perception check and didn't hear, right? Because of the
No, because I
natural
rolled
20 on the stealth check. That's right. And that was about it. That's about everything I remember from last session.
Yeah, so Callum had gone back to his shop. And
Don't
Zara
remember what else Agrimar did.
Agrimar was crafting some stellar breastplate armor for Vale, and he was getting him started up at the Maker's Temple.
Oh, that's right.
Or
And he
an
talked to
acolyte.
Callum's simulacrum.
Yep.
Yes.
Callum, not Callum.
exactly. And
Callum, but not quite.
And Callum had gone back to his shop with Zara, and he came back later to the inn, but he came back in invisible. And he went and found Nari and whispered in her ear to, like, you know, not react or do anything, and just, like, go, you know, somewhere private so that they could chat. And he talked with her, and they decided that, you know, they probably still really need to go down to the sewers and figure out what was going on, but Rafal was likely to be, you know, a stick in the mud about how to do things. So he just wanted to see if we could kind of go on and take care of some of that. And as everyone was kind of breaking up, it was like 4 a.m. when all this was going on. But when everybody sort of broke up and started going their own directions, he got with Thule as well and tried to get her to go with him, which she did.
And I got us some awesome health potions.
Had one heck of a bargain, because I was fumbling my math. Abacus is a tricky tool.
To be fair, Rafal lets you guys get away with a lot of stuff.
And there's even more that we get away with that he doesn't know about.
Yeah. Stick in the mud. That's not fair. Yeah, he draws the line at murdering people. Oh my god, what a stick in the mud.
He's no fun.
Exactly.
So we pick back up with Rafal walking beside Achilles with Shaka and Ulwazi by his sides as they approach the guard gate at the base of the pyramid of MistHaven. With the long ascent in front of him, the guards recognize him and are relatively quick to wave him through the crowd that has gathered up down here, with all sorts of praise and applause being shown his way. Kids coming up wanting to pet the lions, and Shaka and Ulwazi just kind of leaning into some of these scratches, like the ones behind the ears are really getting them in the good spot.
They're good lions. They're really nice.
They are definitely loving this attention. As you start making your way up the ascent of the stairs, it's not terribly long before you find yourself hammering upon the massive doors of Castle MistHaven that are thrown open by the guards inside with a bit of a wooden groan. I'm not going to try and attempt. Perfect. Thank you. They usher you inside towards the back of a queue that has formed up of pedestrians effectively coming with their grievances before the queen.
If there's like a long line, he's going to go see his mom first.
There is about 20 people in line if you'd like to make your way elsewhere through the castle first.
Yeah, he'll go see his mom first. And he also dismissed Shaka Ulwazi and Achilles, like, as he was like climbing. Yeah.
Okay.
Achilles he doesn't actually dismiss, he just lets him fly away.
Do some laps.
Yeah. Well, because he doesn't need to cast the spell again, mechanically speaking.
So you make your way around to the tower where you know your mother's quarters to be, and it's not too long before you find yourself approaching the hallway where her door is at, and you can see the door to her bedchamber is drawn closed. There's a couple of people nearby inside of the cafeteria, and faint murmurs of chattering being held.
Is Artoria's door open?
Artoria's door is closed.
Okay, she's probably with the queen anyways. Yeah, Rafal's gonna go just knock on his mom's door.
With a soft rap on the door, you wait a moment or two before you hear a scuffling on the inside, clicking of the lock opening up as the door swings open, and you can see a relieved look across your mother's face as it's clear that she was not expecting you, but she's happy with this surprise. Rafal, come on in. This is a pleasant surprise, if I do say so myself.
Well,
What brings you by?
You know, I did make a promise to you that I would come by more often, so I'm trying to keep my promise. You know, it's been about a week, and so I thought I would stop by.
Well, I appreciate that. And as she leans in to embrace
Right
you,
on that. It's been about a week since the whole Kevin break-in situation.
from her side of things, yes.
Yeah, God.
Because time is weird when you're in alternate dimensions.
Well, that and time is weird in relation to D&D in real life because that was so fucking
Right.
long ago.
Yeah, it was like 4 months ago.
Anyways,
Yeah, so, you know, it's been about a week, and I thought I'd stop by and see how you're doing. How you holding up?
She leans forward and gives you the biggest embrace, leaning in for a hug. And you can hear her wincing somewhat as you hold her back.
Everything okay?
It's all right. I just slept a bit funny, and well, it's nothing. How are you? How's everything going with the Order of the Phoenix?
insight check.
Go ahead.
She has disadvantage on lies.
That's true. 18.
She's lying to you.
What do you mean you slept funny? Tell me more.
It's probably nothing. It's just these weird dreams I've been having lately.
What kind of dreams? Please, if you don't mind. You're not the first person that I've heard this from, so that's what piques my curiosity.
Well, it's as I said. I don't want to get anyone up in a stir because of a dream or anything like that, but it has been a bit disturbing, and some nights I've found myself avoiding sleep and brewing up another kettle of tea to keep myself awake. It's so strange. Some of the details of these dreams just seem so real sometimes. It's like I'm actually walking through the Gray District, and I come across a crypt, and I'm just compelled by whatever reason to enter. And upon descending the stairs, I venture through the darkness, and eventually I can start to see again. And she kind of softens her voice as her eyes drift more towards the floor as she's kind of visibly recalling the dream rather than talking to you. She's focusing more on the details of it than having to look at your reaction. And there, strapped to one of the tables on a medical gurney, is your father. And it looks as though he's only recently deceased. There are a series of small cuts, like surgical marks, and drawings upon him, and all manner of tools splayed out on the countertops nearby. I don't understand what it could mean, but it's disturbing to say the less, and it's not very ladylike to bring such things up amongst the court. Anyways, some mornings whenever I wake up,
The crypt
I'm in a-
that you're describing.
Rafal's going to describe what the Seraph Manor looks like.
Does it look something like that?
as you start describing like the entryway with the carved skulls and their placement around the front stone archway, you can see a look of confusion begin to churn and distort her face. Like she's not sure why you're able to identify a door from her dreams.
Rafal's gonna do something that I don't think most people consider that paladins can do. He's gonna extend his aura of courage to his mother so she can't be frightened. I can do that, right?
I don't know. Let me see.
Because it's you and friendly creatures within 10
Your
feet
mom
of
is
you.
pretty friendly.
Yeah.
I like the cinematic though. Like you
What's it
choose
look
to
like?
watch over.
Like
As
I think,
Rafal,
like in my mind, it's kind of like Rafal has this very kind of like he kind of keeps her at arm's length a little bit, right? And I think that in this moment, he just kind of lets that down, and he actually like comforts her and actually hugs her back and like holds her like she's his mother.
there's a brief moment as she feels this sense of something more fill her, and you can see like she stands up slightly taller than she was a moment before as a single tear just kind of starts to well in her eye as her gaze returns to your own face. Some mornings that I find waking myself up from these dreams, I'm in a cold sweat, and sometimes I've sliced into my arms a bit with my nails. Just enough to draw blood, but nothing more severe than that.
That's similar to the Queen's symptoms, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I thought getting rid of the hags was gonna stop this.
It has.
Like I said,
it's got to be
it's
something deeper.
probably just a change in my diet or all the stress of the modern goings on of court. And maybe I'm just hoping for something more exciting to stir me up. So my dreams are finding a way to bring that about. But it's nothing I want you to worry about.
Have you tried sleeping someplace that's not the castle?
Oh, I was meaning to stay at Lord Jaeger's estate, but it seems as though there was a fire that broke out the other night. The city guard are looking into it, from what I understand.
I heard about that.
But I'm sure, perhaps once Lord Jaeger's returned, I could discuss with him about staying there for a few nights.
Maybe. It's worth... I mean... Who knows? Maybe it's this place, you know?
The altitude does make some people sick.
When is Lord Jaeger supposed to return?
I believe just a couple of more days.
Rafal, I basically, I don't know how I would do this, but Rafal basically wants to persuade her to kind of tell him more about this dream of hers.
What sort of an ability check would you like to try?
I would like a persuasion.
All right.
Because I have advantage on those.
You don't need it.
How is 228s?
Natty 19.
Rafal rolls, I swear.
It takes... You spend some more time with your mother, and over the next half hour or so, she brews up a kettle of tea and pours a set out, stirs up a few tea... I don't even know the terminology for a tea set, but the teacups.
There you go.
And she starts preparing like biscuits and crackers and all. She starts making a fuss over this.
You were decidedly not British, Ryan.
Oh, biscuits. But she starts effectively busying herself, clearly trying to distract you from the conversation as you start weaving it back in a bit more naturally and calmly. And she does start to settle down a bit, and as the tea is cooling and the two of you are sat opposite the table from one another, and this topic is brought up again, she finds herself spilling out a few more details on the second retelling, and then a few more odd details on the third, about how she feels as though she's being chased, which is why she ends up at the Gray District. She looks around, like looking behind her, and it's hard to explain because it's a dream, so it's not really her thought process, but she knows that she's being chased, but couldn't tell you why. She makes her way to this crypt, this Seraph Manor, as you called it, and thereupon, descending the steps, she's the one performing an autopsy on your father, where she's the one using all of these tools available to start cutting into him, and about how some of the wounds that she leaves on him, she finds herself waking up with similar scratches on her own skin from her own nails.
So this is like almost the same dream that the queen has, only she has it with it's her cutting up the king, right?
Yes.
The king attacked her, she told us, in her dreams.
Oh, it's different.
But it was at the Seraph Manor. Like, the location is the same, but she told us that the king was attacking her in her dreams, not the other way around.
What does it mean?
If it would help calm you down a bit, I can arrange an appointment with Dr. Wells to have him come by to see if he can prescribe something to help me sleep a bit better.
Yes, the good doctor is familiar with what I was referencing about. Not you're not the first person that I've heard this from. So I think he'd be a good person to reach out for that. Yeah, him and I spoke not 5 days ago. He's a good man.
I do like having him about. He does seem to know what he's talking about more often than not, which is a nice change of pace from all these nobles here.
Yeah. Speaking of change of pace, I asked Artoria to, keep an eye and, check in on you from time to time. Has she been doing that?
Oh, I suppose that explains why she's been dropping by a bit more often. She didn't mention that you put her up to it.
Yeah, she's too polite.
But she has been a bit of a delight as of late, stopping by and just seeing how I'm doing.
She's very, she comes from the common folks, so she's very similar. So, she's different from a lot of the people up here, so I figured you'd enjoy her company.
From what I understand, she's quite gifted in the arcane magics, like that Phelan girl you were traipsing around with.
Yes, they're both very powerful wizards.
I'm sure she's single.
Artoria?
Yes.
Hadn't thought of that. I'm so busy, and everything.
Well, someone of your age should start considering these things, settling down and taking up an estate of their own. It's not too much longer before you should have a litter of your own running around these halls.
These halls. Wow, I hadn't thought of that. I have not. I mean, since you mentioned it, I have been trying to buy up property around our inn there, the Phoenix Feather Inn. I've been trying to buy up some of the land around there. So, I'm trying to do my own thing, in a sense, I guess.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Marriage. Wow. I mean, you know, wow, I really hadn't thought of that. I mean, how old were you when you and Dad got married?
Well, I think I was younger than you are now. Couldn't have been more than 25, 26.
Yeah, nobles do get married kind of young, don't we? But you know, was you guys had that whole, well, I guess I will keep an eye out.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. Anyways, you know, this has been nice. I'm gonna get going.
Thanks for dropping by. And like I said, I really don't want you worrying yourself about this. It's just a dream.
Right.
But I will talk to the doctor.
Please do. I love you.
I love you too, Rafal. Thanks for stopping by.
And he will head on down the hall to queue up for the queen.
As you make your way back round towards the throne room, you can see just a couple of more patrons outside of the large doors to the throne room. And a few more minutes go by, and the pair in front of you walk in together. As the doors are opened, you can see a couple of the Mist Maidens on the inside that escort the pair up towards the throne, where you can see Vavana Shante standing up beside the queen's throne on one side, with Sabrina Marin on the other, and Artoria Simber kind of just pacing around the throne room. But Artoria does catch your eye as the doors are being closed behind the pair in front of you. And you wait a few more minutes. 10 minutes go by before the doors open again. The couple are leaving, followed by the escorting Mist Maidens, who then look towards you, usher you inside, and close the doors behind you. And flanked by a Mist Maiden on either side, you are led up towards the throne, where the queen stands up from her seat, which garners the attention of Sabrina and Vavana, who both kind of perk up at the new entrant, and all eyes fall upon you.
Rafal will... Oh.
Ooh! Oh, a new throne map.
So pretty.
I love what you do at the place.
Rafal will... he will, you know, just to be a... like, you know, the, you know, sassy little bitch that he is, he's gonna do exactly all the formal stuff that he didn't do last time, that Vavana was like, you gotta do this. He's gonna walk in and do, like,
proper distance.
Yeah, he's gonna do all of that stuff.
But the whole time his cape is billowing.
You follow the expected courtesies to your ruling monarch as you approach, bowing the appropriate depth before approaching.
Good afternoon, Your Majesty.
Good evening, Rafal. To what do I hold this pleasure?
I meant to stop by and talk to you about the opening of the Arboretum. And did I have something else wrong? Oh yeah, and among other things.
In the Royal Treasure Chamber.
All right,
That
I'll
is
ask her.
stupendous.
No one's gonna let me go down there, guys.
She might. If
Oh,
you take
she
her to the
will.
other room.
Oh, definitely.
You just have to talk with her privately. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
You're charming,
I heard that
Rafal. You can
repairs
do
were
it.
getting along after some of the recent fires that broke out. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to the reopening, or the rescheduled reopening.
Yes, I believe that now it is going to be
safe and successful. And I am very much looking forward to it. I have, befriended the architect Callum, and we've, we like what we've done with the place.
Might I ask how long until it's going to be opened? I would very much like to be at the ceremony.
I was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about. What do you think would be best? What fits into Her Royal Highness's schedule?
The queen seats herself back on the throne as she turns back behind her to look at Vavana, who just kind of sneers down at you and says, I'm afraid the queen's schedule is all booked up through the end of the month. Perhaps sometime next month would be most suitable. And the queen retorts, well, I think we should be able to push a few things aside for the saviors of the city. After all, it would do good for the city's common folk to see the royals mingling out and about. And besides, it is a cause for celebration. A lot of hard work went into restoring this place and building it to be quite possibly a wonder of this world. The size and scale of it alone is quite a marvel to behold from my tower.
Wise words from wise monarch. As he's like staring at Vavana.
Vavana just rolls her eyes and then just makes her way back round behind the throne, out of eyesight from you. Rafal, as you're watching Vavana start to retreat, you feel something about 5 to 10 pounds perch lightly upon your shoulder, and you hear a soft whisper in your ear. The lady would very much like to speak with you after your conversation with the queen.
Rafal's gonna look on his shoulder. Oh, is it invisible?
Yeah, there's something invisible perched on your shoulder.
Is that Archimedes?
It's Archimedes, yeah.
That's not what Archimedes sounds like, though.
He sounds more posh. This is one of those fucking imps or whatever.
Does it sound like Archimedes?
It sounds more like Archimedes than something.
Okay, Ryan forgot the voice. Archimedes.
Well...
Oh, it's a devil Archimedes.
Kevin did kill
It's an invisible Archimedes.
That's right.
Archimedes,
killed Archimedes.
Archimedes' thing is saying, whoo.
He's like, she.
Rafal will say, we, for our part, we're thinking sometime, let's see, if Lord Yeager's supposed to be back in a couple of days, say next week sometime.
That would be swell. Let us know the date once it has been locked down, and I will be sure to clear our schedule. We would be most delighted to attend.
Very well. And also, I did, per the order of, the nature of visits to the Queen, did have a request of, a private word with Her Majesty sometime.
The Queen stands up, and immediately Sabrina, steps forward, lifting the greatsword that she's been leaning against, just to step forward at the Queen's sudden movement. I think if you are the last patron of the day, you could walk me back to my chambers, if such timing would suffice.
I would be delighted.
Oh, get it, Rafal!
Well then, Vavana, Artoria, it's been a pleasure, and I will see the both of you on the morrow. As she effectively dismisses the two of them and starts to descend from the throne.
They're like shuffling around up there. Can Rafal whisper to his shoulder and say, "I will be there after."
You don't even hear a response, but that weight is lifted from your shoulders. You feel something just jump off, and the softest of flapping of wings. As the throne room in front of you starts to shuffle around, Artoria makes her way back towards one of the large stained glass windows and just starts to peer outside as you can make out the softest of dimples upon her shoulder. As Vavana starts making her way immediately to the doors, the back doors to the throne room, towards the servants' quarters, and Sabrina follows the queen down the steps and starts to approach you.
Still don't know what to make of Sabrina.
Have you ever done your divine sense around her? Does she ping differently?
No, I don't. She's human, man.
Human, right?
Pretty sure, Ryan, right? I've done it, right?
Nothing's pinged from your divine sense.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I've done it multiple times.
Because the last time you
did it
pinged
once
around
as
her
well.
was after she came back from being dead, right?
That was one of the times.
I've done it twice. And I did it before I went upstairs, I think, once.
Okay. I still get a weird vibe from her. I don't know.
Well, I'm pretty sure I did it the last time I talked to the queen one-on-one.
And you didn't get anything from her.
Yeah, so...
Still weird.
Yeah, but... How was your day, Your Majesty?
Exhausting and boring as always seems to be. Tell me, have you slain any jabberwocks of late?
Well, as we walk, I could regale you with the latest adventure that my friends managed to drag me out on.
As she approaches, she perks her elbow out for you to escort her down the hallway.
He will do so in a gentlemanly fashion.
And Sabrina follows behind, about 10 feet behind the pair of you, as you walk with your arms linked. And she's got her greatsword out all the while.
Oh, yeah. Oh, as is customary.
As is tradition.
Well, you see, Your Majesty, we found ourselves in this kind of, I guess you could call it an ancient temple of kinds. Have you ever heard of the religion of Sovereigns? Oh, you're from Alverstan. Of course you have.
I have heard of such temples existing overseas.
So, you're not going to believe this, but I found myself in Averston this last week. What was the city we were outside of?
You don't know.
We never found out, did we?
No, we were dropped in and we went into a garden shack and went through a portal.
He's going to try to describe he's going to I didn't quite catch the name of the city. Perhaps you could help me. And he's going to try to describe the city to her and see if maybe she knows where he's talking about.
And it seems as though, like, you start describing some of the architecture and she starts nodding in sort of like a familiarity kind of a understanding. Like, she understands the types of structures you're describing. But Averston is such a vast country that it could be any number of places with a temple to Sovereigns.
And either way, I did think of you when I was there. And he'll go ahead and tell her a little bit about the Oracle and everything that happened, like leaving out a lot of the personal details about his party members and just kind of focusing on broad strokes about a mummy lord, and things like that. Kind of just like turning it into like a tale, like a myth or a performance of kinds, if you will.
Go ahead and roll me a performance check.
Sure. Ooh, not great. 9.
Ryan, you fell for his trap.
Ha-ha!
I mean, the story doesn't, like, it has a few holes where he's left out a lot of the personal information, like why they were there and stuff like that. But, It's pretty
She
good
gets
on
the
the
gist of it.
details.
It's basically a war journal, and there's no artful flair to it.
But yeah, so that's been about how my week has gone.
So you almost didn't make it back.
Yeah, twice. Almost died twice. But that kind of how my year has been. Lots of brushes with death this year.
Tell me about it. Have you ever given thought to what might happen if you never return to MistHaven?
No. There's a part of me that always has to believe that I'll make it back here. Because, the city is why I do these things. It's the oath that I've sworn to this city. It just brings me back.
So with all the fantastical places you've been across all of your adventures, you're telling me that you would still prefer to come back here every time? There's nothing more fantastical out there for you?
No, they're really. I mean, the places I have seen some amazing places. I have walked the deserts, seen the statue of Zumaria. I have seen the dwarven halls of Valeria. I've seen Averston, and yet, of all those journeys, this is the place that my heart desires to be. And yeah, I oh wait, what's Ben's oh, that's good. No other place has you.
She does start to blush a little bit and stumble for the next step or two as you notice you're having to pull her up a little bit.
Oh, Rafal.
Everything all right, Your Majesty?
And the plate armor behind you suddenly grows a bit louder with its stomps. Yes, just a bit hot in here is all. Perhaps
Yeah.
I rose from my throne a bit too quickly. So, after the Arboretum, what adventures have the fates put in store for you?
Well, for my part, personally, I really want to do something about uh, these dreams. The dream that you have, it appears that my mother is having the same dreams.
And her elbow grip just kind of tightens on your own arm a little bit. She's been dreaming of the late king as well.
It's the same but different. She sees my father, and he's gonna kind of describe like the nuanced like differences like to her.
The comparisons are quite striking.
That's exactly how I felt when she was describing it to me. So,
Do you think the Requisitors have any hand in this?
it's hard to say. It's possible because you both share a connection to the Mithril Queen, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
Um, so that is one of my earliest theories. But I definitely seek your counsel on this subject, for I am still putting together the details of the uh, agreement that has been made.
Go on.
Well, if Her Majesty recalls, I guess I have a question for you, and it is, uh, have you helped me personally in the past while you were queen?
And she pauses for a moment to look back at her bodyguard and then kind of returns to her gated pace. Uh, have I haven't given any particular favoritism, if that's what you mean, because of my position.
No, this was a particular favor. Uh, God, how long in game was that ago?
Like over a year, I think. We'll just call it a year and a half.
Yeah, it has to be, right?
Which part are we talking about?
Trinia?
Trinia. How long
Yeah.
in game was that?
That was at least 16 months, at least.
Because that was before we went to the statues of Maria, so that would have been...
Yeah, it's before the desert, which was a couple months trip. So, yeah, 16 to 18 months.
Dang.
It's been a while.
So, yeah, Rafal will say about a year and a half ago.
I think I know to which situation you're alluding.
Okay, so that's a yes. How have things changed since that time in regards to the agreement or the parties involved?
As far as I can tell, no conflict of interest has arisen, as the opposing sides have been none the wiser. From what I understand, those responsible for the execution got away with it, with thwarting it. I'm sure the girl is long gone now, living out her life somewhere overseas.
Do do you still retain your control over the parties involved?
I haven't attempted to push any sort of balance. They have continued to follow my orders. I drew them back from their usual rounds about the city and restricted them to the confines of Fort Requisitor. They obeyed those orders when given.
Mm. Well,
However, they did reemerge whenever those ships came strolling into the city.
mm. Mm. How have things changed with the death of Severus DeVere?
Well, conversation has been a bit less natural. It's been much more business talk with his not predecessor,
Successor.
successor. Thank you. He tends to keep things as short and punctual as he can.
Who is who? We met the guy, but I don't remember his name. Who is his successor?
His name is Dazan. Were you asking in character or out of character?
Oh, I wasn't asking in character because Nick didn't know, but that's fine too.
I'm sorry. Did we leave the castle?
Not yet.
Okay, I'm not there then.
But yeah, it is Dazan.
And what do you know about him? Who is he?
I know less and little about his backstory. From what I understand, he was appointed his position whenever Severus DeVere fell in protection of the city. So I presume that he is here to continue to uphold their end of the contract. So far, they've given me no reason to think otherwise. Do you have reason to think that as of late, conditions have changed?
Well, it's just no. It's interesting because the dreams seem to have a connection to Zumeria, not the Requisitors.
I'm afraid I don't follow.
Rafal's going to explain to her about going into the manor, the riddle of Salt and Stone, and the shield, the sword, and it's the shield, the Kopesh, and the scepter. And tell her about the Shadowfell and Zumeria's people being there, and he's gonna explain what that crypt is that she's seeing.
Have you tried to use those artifacts? The shield, the scepter, and the Kopesh?
Absolutely not.
What do you think it all has to do with the Pharaoh Zomaria?
Well, my understanding is that if we were to do that, it would open a portal to the Shadowfell, and the Ankayesh people would be able to return to MistHaven. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But she still holds a very kind of confused look on her face. The Ankayesh, but they were wiped out centuries ago.
Not wiped out. Moved.
To the Shadowfell?
To the Shadowfell by Zumeria.
And you think this could just bring them all home? Just like that?
Yes, essentially, as I understand it, Zumeria's plot was to use the place like the Overgrown Zone to create a space for her people to return to. That is why she attacked MistHaven.
So if the Akayesh were to return through this portal, do you believe them to be enemies of MistHaven? Or do you think, has Zomaria thought that they could live amongst the city after committing such a heinous act against its people?
I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't think. And then there's no telling what the influence of the Shadowfell has had on these people. Like, I can't imagine it's a nice place to live.
Let alone for 1,000 years.
So, I don't. There's some connection to this place and the dreams that you're having. Which relates to Zumeria, not to, you know, the Mithril Queen and the Requisitors.
Would you have any other means of traversing to the plane of shadows without opening this gateway of Lady Zomeria's?
Hadn't thought of that, but that is possible.
Some means of investigating what happened to the Akaesh before attempting to open a doorway for them?
That's a really good idea, Your Majesty. I do believe Agrimar possesses the ability to traverse the plains, and if not, I know a particular Dragonborn that does.
Perhaps you can make use of your contacts then. If you wouldn't mind, you've certainly piqued my curiosity.
Oh, that's a very good idea, Your Majesty. We should seek out and see if we have allies. Because unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm not sure, Zumeria is no longer around. Whoops. In connection with that, there's also God, there's so much going on in this campaign, Ryan. In connection with Zumeria, there's also the Titan. Is Ecstasis the name of the Titan?
That's the name of the pieces of the Titan. Fragments of Ecstasis.
Did the Titan have a name itself?
It's been called the Titan.
Okay, and so Brafal's gonna come be like, yeah, you remember this story, and he's gonna kind of tell her give her a little Nari-esque history lesson on the pieces of Ecstasis and kind of explain.
Make sure you're getting a read, because they were coming to the castle for a piece. We got to find it.
Well, there's a reason he's going to do this, because he's going to explain that it's believed that there is a piece here in the castle somewhere, is basically what he wants to get to eventually with this story.
Go ahead and roll me an insight check as you're having this conversation with the Queen.
22. Pretty good.
As you're explaining the fragments of Ecstasis and the pieces as you understand them, the 7 pieces as you have come to understand them, she tells you that she's not heard of anything like that, and almost immediately you get the sense that she's lying to you.
What do I do?
Your girl be lying.
Perhaps we can ask some of the professors about the academy. Perhaps they've done some sort of research into artifacts of similar nature.
Well, it's funny you say that. Professor Barnaby actually is probably the foremost expert on this subject, and we have conversed with him at length about it. So it's honestly, at this point, I believe that Nari is probably the foremost expert on these relics in the world.
Perhaps the next time you come by for a visit, you could bring Nari and this professor.
I believe Nari would be amenable to that. She's a bit of an eccentric and does require a formal invitation to be sent to her for these kinds of things. It's just kind of one of her quirks.
She's a scrapbooker.
I think it's something like that, where she needs to have that indication that she has been invited.
I'm sure I can have Vavanit draw something up.
Smooth. I think she would be very excited about that. She has asked me about the castle many times. She's always wanted to explore, this area. Especially, she's very interested in the pyramid, being with her studies and whatnot. Have you explored the pyramid levels much?
I haven't been down in the lower levels as of, well, I believe since my coronation, but in some of my earlier years, while King Eliot was seeing hearing out some of the commoners as they made their requests, I was free to wander elsewhere within the city, within the castle's walls, and I did some wandering, to be sure. I think I've traversed through nearly every square inch of this place in all my years here. But I've been through some of the depths and tunnels of the pyramids. From what I can see, most of it has held itself up to the test of time. But I'm sure that whatever artificers crafted the stone in the first place put all sorts of enchantments upon the sandstone to make sure that it would to withstand time, of all things.
What of the this is how he's gonna do it. Say, what of the castle's treasure room?
I can assure you the castle's vaults are safe from any sort of prying eyes. I've ventured there on occasion, and she kind of starts to turn a bit flush. If I'm being honest, in my earliest years, the occasional trip to the castle vaults for a withdrawal was, well, partially why I was opted to stick around for as long as I did before everything sort of just fell into place for me. A kingdom's wealth is quite a spectacle to behold for someone who grew up in an orphanage.
Nick doesn't remember, but does Rafal remember which piece they had thought was down there?
The crown.
Hey, Ryan.
Well, you guys have speculated different items at different times, so I don't want to say.
Well, there was a change in crowns. That's what was my speculation, that the crown changed.
She did burn the golden crown of past kings whenever she got coronated.
Yeah, and she was wearing the crown, which is what Agamar thought was causing her dreams, because she put that on, and then she started having the dreams of her late dead husband and stuff like that. That was my connection.
Well, okay, just really quick out of character. We have... hold on. Pull up... I have the list on my character sheet.
I was actually just doing research on this last week, Ryan. Or Nick.
Okay, so we have... There is... spine, hide, fangs, claws, skull, horns, blood. We know that blood is the throne that's in the statue.
Yep.
We know that the horns is the Raffaffelganger armor. We know that the... which of these can we assume is the wraps? Claws?
Hide? Skin?
Hide?
The shred skin.
It's the skin. Okay, so it's the hide. Okay, so the hide is for sure accounted for. What other pieces are accounted for?
I think we've only seen 3 of them.
Armor of skulls. You've seen on
Oh,
Raffaffelganger.
skulls was the armor. That's right.
I thought the horns was the armor.
Nope. You know the horn is another item.
Oh, I have armor next to horns. Okay, I'm
The
moving
howling
that.
horn is one of the items. Crown of fangs, the bound blade, shred skin, staff of the slain, and the throne of night.
Oh, how do you just call somebody out for lying?
Especially with her guard right there.
You're lying.
You could phrase it like eloquently.
You
I
can
don't
trust
know.
me. I'm not going to hurt you.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good one.
Or maybe something along the lines of, I have a feeling that there is more information than you were letting on.
Your life is in danger. You have to tell me everything now.
Maybe she just wants to say it in front of the guard.
Or she's
Yeah,
not
maybe
allowed
make it into
to.
a date. You know. Ooh.
Ooh, detect magic?
Magic is in the air, or romance is in the air.
Yeah.
There's a strong sense of romantic magic.
Oh, I got it. He's gonna do the thing he does to all of you guys.
Guilt trip?
He'll say, you know, I understand that, you know, you don't fully trust me, and you know, that's okay. You everyone's allowed their secrets. I hope that in time that that you will find that you can be honest with me.
She stops in your pacings and just kind of pulls you so that the two of you are facing eye to eye. She says, Fall, I want you to know that I trust you wholeheartedly for everything that you have done on my behalf and on behalf of this city. There's no one that I would trust more who's alive today. However, I also hope that you can understand that my late husband held some secrets from these people, and some of his secrets are not my own to divulge. And on his deathbed, some secrets were sworn into being, and I intend to maintain the word of my marriage. It's, as she turns away and starts continuing pacing forward towards her tower, linking arm in arm. Some things are incredibly difficult to find the words to describe.
I think I understand. Sometimes there are clauses not allowing us to share what we wish to say.
I hope that you can understand that just because things can appear one way doesn't mean that they are necessarily what they appear to be. Sometimes the best interests of the whole must be taken into consideration, even at the cost of the happiness of the few. There are magics that go beyond the scope of our own understandings, even of the finest scholars in our lifetimes. And perhaps it's best that some of these secrets were to just die out. Not all stories should be passed on from generation to generation. Sometimes the past is best left forgotten.
Man, now I really want to break into that place. Hey, Kevin, I got a job. Once I'm done busting you out of jail, I got a job for you.
What place?
But as she slows to a stop outside of the doors to her bedchamber, Sabrina steps between the two of you and pushes open the doors herself, and then looks back at the queen and silently just stands outside of the doors and just thrusts the greatsword into the ground.
Falls is gonna kiss the queen's hand and say, Your Majesty, this has been the best part of my week.
Thanks for dropping by, Rafal. It's always a pleasure. And I look forward to speaking with some of your friends soon.
They are incredible people. Really upstanding citizens.
The city can use more people like that.
Also, since what's her name? Vasima
Vavana Shante.
Vavana isn't around. I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the opening of the Arboretum. And
wouldn't miss it for the world.
Really excited for your company there. If you'll have me.
You think I should wear green, red, or blue to it? I don't want to be too flashy so as to distract from the importance of what's going on, but I do hope to make a bit of a statement while I'm there.
Green, red, or blue, huh?
It'll happen around Christmas.
There will be. Okay, I'm going with Rachel's suggestion. I believe that the color red on you is just breathtaking.
Well, I'll see what our tailors are up to, and if they can throw something together before next week. Feel free to drop by any time before that, though. You're always welcome here in the castle.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Have a good night.
Good evening, Rafal.
Sabrina, I love our conversations as always.
The cold face mask of that plate helmet just looks in your direction, but no noise escapes from beneath the helm. As the queen steps inside the bedchambers and Sabrina...
He'll say, I will give your regards to Alistair.
She closes the doors abruptly on you from the inside.
Agamar sneaks in. You see, Vale, red is not quite hot enough. You gotta go more towards the whites. Hammer and metal.
We could bounce around and see what other people are doing, since I've, monopolized the first hour and a half of this session. Sorry, everyone.
You got your comeuppance from last episode.
Yeah, I guess.
So since Lucas took the initiative, what's Agrimar wanting to accomplish this afternoon? He's working on that, after working on that celestial plate armor for the day.
Oh, after the armor?
Assuming you put in your few hours of working on it.
Yeah. Spent the day with Vale, showing him what was going on, crafting his armor. I think after that, he would probably be heading back, making sure that Vale was settled and he had his room. He'd be heading back to the inn after that, I think, pondering some things that he can make. And where he's gonna head next, I think. Grand scheme. But he'd be heading back to the inn, I think, after his day's worth of work.
All right. As you're making your way down the streets, there's the occasional glimpse of familiarity coming from some of the passerbys. The occasional slowing of a stagecoach so that those inside can get a better glimpse at you. And
he makes sure to wave with his arm in like a 90 degree and make sure his bicep kind of bulges a little bit as he's waving.
You do so, and some of the nearby kids just scattering in all manner of excitement. Go ahead and roll me a perception check. Uh-oh.
I had it muted. It's a 21. I'm using my jumbo die tonight, and so I had to mute my microphone so it wasn't so loud.
As you're making your way back through some of the familiar streets that you take to and from your temple, you notice a small complement of city guards starting to trail behind you. What started as just 2 has grown to 3 and then 4, and they are just keeping back about 30 feet. One of them you notice is the same guard who was following you this morning.
Can Agrimar roll an insight? He's kind of looking around, smiling, and he sees it, and he wants to see if he smells fear coming off of these guards.
Go ahead and roll me an insight check.
19.
They do look to be following you cautiously, like keeping an eye on you as you dart around the next corner. You hear some of their pacing quicking behind you so that you're back in line of sight. And as a few more of them, as a half dozen start to trail behind you, they do get a little bit closer in their pacing. But as you turn the corner on Elm Street, there's about 7 guards following behind you.
He'll take a couple more steps, and this is starting to get ridiculous. Not even Rafal, who should have this many town guards following him, has that number. He'll stop and... Hello. How might I help you, guards? I don't quite need your protection. Is there anything wrong?
Actually, we heard you were friends with the small halfling girl. Brown hair.
I know a lot of halfling girls with brown hair. You have to be more specific than that.
Well, why don't you start listing off the ones that ring a bell with that description? And you see one of them pulls out a small parchment.
Might
How about
I
the ones you've been
inquire
in
as...
communication with within the last 24 hours?
Oh, within the last 24 hours, unfortunately. I haven't spoken with any halfling females in the last 24 hours. Might I inquire as to why you need this information?
An ongoing investigation. There was a bit of arson committed at one of the noble estates, and we're looking into all possible leads.
Oh. What is noble? That is absolutely barbaric. Is there anything I can do to help besides giving you the name of a person that I don't know?
Well, how about one of the halflings that you said you do know?
Karen. Karen. She came by the temple the other day.
Roll me a deception check.
All right. Oh, I got a natural 19. For a 20.
Right. Does this Karen have a last name?
Karen's last name.
Do you remember what she talked about?
She was asking for blessings at the temple.
She was asking if she could speak to the manager.
No, she was quite nice.
Blessings regarding what sort of activity?
Her children were sick, and she was hoping that the Maker would help guide their children to a speedy recovery. Of course, I was there to do what I could.
And so, what did you do for Karen? Or her children?
I sent up word to the three above, and hopefully they heard a slightly higher position, if I do say so myself. And I have a real strong feeling that they will be on the mend shortly.
From a bit further up the street, there's another half dozen guards that start approaching in a platoon of their own, and one of them whistles out as the other guards that are nearby you kind of look that way, and they are waved over. Oh, thank you for being as helpful as you have. We will look into this, Karen, and you are free to go about your day. As the 7 guards who are trailing you start to meet up with the half dozen that were coming down Elm Street.
And it looks like they're heading towards the inn. Because that's where I'm heading. I'm heading towards the inn.
They are going, you are now following the guards up Elm Street. However,
do they give me a little bit of space?
Do you give them a little bit of space? You're following them now.
Oh, okay. So they're focused on their comrades in arms then.
And they walk right by the Phoenix Feather Inn and keep on going.
All right. I'll turn into the Phoenix Feather Inn. It's a little odd. And I'll step into the inn.
Hey, Agrimar!
Oh, hello, Shreves. Anything else? Anything especially fun happened today?
No, nothing fun. But apparently Kevin's setting fires again.
Who told you that?
The guard said halflings are burning all the nobles' houses.
Oh, that's preposterous. They wouldn't do something like that.
Wouldn't they?
No, that's dumb. Why would you ever burn a building for no reason?
No, Agrimar, your mind's been enchanted.
Well, I am in love, but that doesn't have any bearing on the situation.
Your memory's been corrupted. You just wait until Callum gets back, old friend. We'll be sure to right your memory problems.
Are you sure you're not mistaken?
I baked some fresh biscuits. Cookie's own recipe this time. I did my best. Why don't you try one?
I would love to try one of your biscuits. Please.
He holds up a tray of what looks to be about 9 very singed biscuits.
I'm from the land of molten metal. Give me that burnt biscuit.
Burnt is still burnt, my friend.
I'll take it. Give me the notes. Is it salty and burnt, or is it sweet and burnt?
You crunch into that. Go ahead and roll me a Constitution check.
Okay. Constitution check is going to be a 13.
Difficult, but you managed to stomach it, and you'd rather not take another bite?
Is it just that it's overly cooked, or is the ingredients off?
The ingredients are off. There's way too much flour this time around. It's incredibly dry and very burnt.
All right, I'm going to try to give him constructive criticism and say, Shreves, this is not the best, but perhaps a little bit more water, less flour, and less cooking time, and they'll be perfect.
Shows what you know. That's why you're the muscle.
Shreves, if you had a mouth, I would love for you to try this.
I'd love to try it, if only I had a mouth.
Oh, do you want me to put some in? Does he have a pot, or is he just walking around bare-ass naked?
He's got a pot.
All right. Well, here, let me put some in your pot. And I'll crumble up the rest of my biscuit and put it in his pot.
It's quite nutritional for a plant.
See, that's... Shreves, I think you've invented the plant biscuit.
It might need a bit more zest if we're going to be selling them like hotcakes.
Perhaps mushrooms? Berries, maybe.
Dreamberries.
Dreamberries is perfect.
Cookie says dreamberries fix everything.
They do, don't they? I think that's the next batch. If you want to make them for everyone else, make them a little bit more moist and put dreamberries in.
Okay. And Shreves skitters back into the kitchens, and you can hear all manner of pots and pans start flinging around back there.
Oh, children are so much fun. Agrimar goes and, if nobody else is there, he's going to go and fix his metal chair that he broke the leg of like 3 days ago, and fix it and sit in his chair.
Putting the piece back or putting a different leg on?
I'll use my 1 hour channel divinity to put a new leg on it.
All right. So in the meanwhile, Nari, Thule, and Callum are, I believe, over at the Baylor's retreat still.
I thought they were over on their ways to the sewers.
No, we hadn't left yet. I'm pretty sure when we ended, was Thule letting Callum and Nari know that Kevin was cooking up some trouble. And that's all she let on.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
What do you mean, trouble?
You know, she may have started a fire in Lord Jaeger's manor. You know, just Kevin things.
Well, that's terrible.
Oh.
Who are we talking to at the moment? Or are we back at the inn?
That's Nari.
You're talking to Thule and Nari.
That's Nari.
Oh, okay.
It's a very good Nari impression.
It's obviously me, Callum.
Would you be able to bring the city map back up, Ryan?
Sure.
Because we agreed on which sewers did we agree on? We wanted to go at 3, and then what was our second choice? Was it 1 or 2?
I think it was 1.
Okay.
Since I nailed the rest of that recap, it was probably 1, if that's what I remember.
I don't think I wrote that down.
Tuli,
Yes.
is that what the god was talking to you about?
Yes. I didn't get the ring from Gru, did I?
No, he just effectively asked you to identify it for him.
Damn, I should have swiped it. Yes, he was talking about a halfling who was well, he showed me Kevin's ring.
The ring?
Yeah, the one that you gave her with the ruby in it and it has a feather on it.
Oh. Well, that's quite worrying, actually. I don't think we just leave that behind.
Maybe she was in a rush. Maybe she was in like a tussle or something.
Well, I mean, that's
He
certainly possible.
showed me, I was curious, curiosity killed the cat. No offense, Nari.
Oh, none taken.
He didn't.
Satisfaction brought it back.
There you go.
Hence the cat being undead.
Yeah, he showed me her ring. I just asked, about it, and that was it. So, obviously, it's safe to assume in Lord Jaeger's manor, Kevin was really obsessed about that. So, I assumed that it was her, and that I would let you guys know that it probably was. And the guards are looking for her.
They're looking for her, meaning that they don't have her.
I would assume not. No clue where she could be, though.
Well, perhaps she's gone back to the inn. I know, at least I didn't see her there earlier, but... Nari, Tuli, I'm sorry, I don't think I can go with the sewers to you. Go with you to the sewers right now.
But Callum, we're so close.
Yes, I know, and I will definitely go with you later, but I think we need to help Zara right now. And to do that, we must find her.
All right, so let's go back to the inn then, and we'll check there for her, and then we will go from there.
Well, maybe one of us should just go check out the sewers and just get a feel for things. Because it's probably only a matter of time before we go check out the third location anyways, right?
I mean,
Nari, I think it would be best if... Why don't you and Tuli go back to the inn and see if you can find Zara there? I'll head back to my shop. She might have gone by there looking for a place to hide.
All right. Why does something always have to happen when we're going to the sewers?
Julie will pat her on the shoulder. We'll get there eventually.
I don't think Rafal is going to let us go.
Rafal doesn't need to know.
Rafal never said no to the rest of y'all in the sewers, just Agrimar.
I know, but Callum decided to make it a secret.
Exactly. This is a magic trio secret. Unfortunately, Agrimar is not included in the magic trio.
Do you have proficiency with Arcana? No? Go away.
No, but I automatically have half proficiency in everything. Suck on that.
Jack of all trades.
The most OP feature.
And what time of day is it now?
Early afternoon.
Okay. If it's early afternoon, then as soon as we get outside of the this bar place where we are, Callum is going to use his polymorph that he gets to use once per short rest and turn himself into some sort of like city bird and take off flying.
All right. Roll me a perception check as a city bird.
Okay, let's see. What do I have? So giant eagle's somewhat close.
As you start gaining some altitude, you start peeking over some of the rooftops in your flight path back towards Ridge Bottom Exchange. You do see a little bit of a commotion amongst a gathering of guards that look to be all encircling a smaller figure, about the size of a child, that looks to be manacled and is quite familiar to you. As you see Zara getting effectively escorted towards the Citadel by a battalion of guards. She looks to be handcuffed and right in the middle of them.
I'm going to keep my distance and just follow them.
All right. So effectively, Rachel, they cornered Zara in an alleyway, not knowing necessarily that she was involved with the fire that happened, but a couple of guards did spot her fleeing from a noble estate. And when they started to give chase, she started to flee. And so more and more guards started to get called in. And eventually she did get cornered in a back alley. And rather than fight her way out, surrendered to the guards.
Yeah, would her wings have just like kaput?
I think you left your wings with Callum.
Oh, damn. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. Yep. Look, gentlemen, I don't know why you're chasing me. I'm very tired trying to get my way, trying to go home. Can we just forget about this? Or
Yeah, we've heard it all before. You're going to go before the Arbiter in the morning and she'll see the truth of it. Worry not, we'll get to the bottom of whatever's going on here.
yeah, but the bottom of it is nothing. I did nothing wrong today. I just need to get home.
Well, then you're just going to have to suffer through a night of bad sleep behind bars and you'll be right back at it in the morning.
Well, I don't want to, though, so that's the thing.
Well,
we
tough
just, like-
tits then, eh, love? Perhaps you shouldn't have fled when you did.
Well, I'm very sorry. I just don't like guards because sometimes they're incompetent and don't know what they're doing. Like this.
Wait a minute. As he just kind of yanks on the chains that are pulling your manacles a little bit and just pulls you forward a little bit out of your own pacing, so you stumble a little bit, but don't fall.
Listen here, you son of a bitch. I'm innocent, and you're fucking with the wrong person, okay? Just let me go and we can forget about this, okay? I did nothing wrong, and I don't know why you decided to manacle me.
Listen, sweetie, it's real cute and all. You think you're going to just be talking your way out of this one, but it'd be a shame if we'd have to gag you, too.
Oh, no, sweetie, that'd be terrible. My name's not Sweetie, huh, hotcakes?
So what is your name, then?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't speak unless I talk to the...
That's what I thought. Anyways, the Arbiters will make right out of you, no problem.
How about this? You unmanacle me and I tell you my name and I tell you where I live and then I can just go on my way.
You promise?
Yes.
We'll see what we can do. As they start approaching this large, what looks kind of like a castle keep, this stone structure that you know as the city guard citadel, this fortress. And you can just see more and more guards about on the streets as you guys are approaching. And you can spot a small bird flying overhead that doesn't draw any particular attention, just another city bird flying around. But it's a little bit orange.
Look. What's your name? What's your name?
Thought you weren't allowed to talk.
Oh,
Quite chatty for someone who's keeping silent.
I'm not keeping silent. Look. What's your name? What's your name? How much are you paid? How much are you paid?
Not nearly enough to put up with your shit.
Well, how about this? I pay you to let me out of these monocles. I can make it worth your while.
Oh yeah? How much you got on you?
I have 100 gold pieces.
Oh yeah?
In it for you? Yeah.
Which boot's that hiding in?
My left. I don't know.
This whole troop just kind of stops in its motion as a couple of the guards from nearby approach you and start to frisk down your left leg down to your left boot, feeling for any sort of coin purse, effectively. Anything they might have missed on the initial pat down. And they pull out a couple of vials of various viscous fluids, a bright green, but not nearly as viscous fluid, and a couple of fire bombs.
MistHaven is a very dangerous place. So if you don't mind, I'd like to walk home. You know, that's why I have to carry these things. Can you just let me out of these manacles?
Some people make this place dangerous, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, you do a really good job at protecting the city from these dangerous things because, you know, I've had to save it like 3 times.
Well, thank you. It's good to feel appreciated. Right then, are you hiding anything else, or are we going to have to remove the other boot as well?
No, I am hiding this, and she'll give him the finger.
Oh yeah, that's real mature. Real mature. You know, there are kids seeing you, and you're just setting a very poor example for them.
Oh yeah, like you aren't with your stupid way that you do your stupid job and the way that you just keep shackling innocent people. Can I just get released from these manacles?
At least I've got a job.
Yeah, and you're doing a piss poor example of it. Can just someone get me out of these manacles?
All right. As he starts pulling you forward towards this large stone building, they walk you inside of these large doors, and there's a woman seated behind a desk with all manners of stacks of parchment in front of her. She looks to be in the middle of a conversation with a couple of commoners who seem to be issuing some sort of complaint about somebody who overpriced some wares that they bought that were already spoiled, and she's trying her best to wave them off upon seeing this troop of guards arriving with you in manacles. And one of the guards steps up and approaches her. Roll me a perception check. As he starts to converse with her, and you see her scribbling a couple of notes down before she gestures back down the doors behind her. And a couple of them yank you that way. You hear effectively, they are describing that they caught you red-handed trying to break into one of the noble estates, and when you were called for questioning, you attempted to flee. And so you're being brought in under suspicion of theft and led back into some of the cells, and they take you back along. So from this front room, they take you back along long hallway with a couple of series of gated, barred doors along the way. Why can I not click that tool? With probably more guards than you've seen in a minute. Great, I just deleted your token. Stand by.
No!
But you are led back round into the cells where the guards effectively just kind of throw you into one of these cells by yourself before attempting to even remove the manacles from around your wrists.
Oh, really? You don't trust me? Are you kidding? I gave
Oh, no worries. I'm a man of my word. I'd be happy to remove those at the cost of your name and where you live.
No, how about this? I tell you my name, you get off, you tell me your name, I tell you, and you unlock the gate, I tell you my name, and you get these manacles off of me. Because I did nothing wrong.
All right, then. Maybe you can sleep in those, then. Perhaps you'll feel a bit more chatty in the morning.
Oh my god, I swear to god, I will give you a black eye if you don't get me out of these stupid manacles. And out of here, I need to tell someone something.
Right, no worries whatsoever. We'll just add threatening an armed officer to the list of charges.
Oh, you're armed? You sure that thing around your waist isn't just some sort of plaything right there? Because I've frankly never seen a guard ever draw their sword. So I'm so glad y'all are armed.
I'm just glad that you're where you belong, right and proper, then, as he goes to slam the jail door closed behind you. Perhaps you should think about what got you in there. Think long and hard with the time you've got. Maybe it'll do you some good.
Maybe you should think long and hard before I get out of here, because I'm innocent!
Well, I'm sure the arbiters will get to the bottom of it all. As he effectively then walks out from that second retaining wall, passes by the guard who sat in the corner, the elderly-looking guard, who is quick to slump back into his post, and after a few minutes, you can softly hear that guard starting to snore.
Shit. Of course this happens. Is Kevin manacled front, or are her hands manacled behind her?
You are manacled in your front.
Can Kevin attempt to get out of these manacles now that the guards aren't watching?
Sure thing. How would you like to try and get free?
I would imagine they confiscated her thieves' tools, right?
Roll me a sleight of hands check, or a stealth check, to see if you were able to sneak one past their pat down.
26.
26 is pretty good. As you start fiddling with the cuff of your sleeve, and you tear it open ever so slightly, and begin to produce that one that you keep stowed away just in case, for special occasions, you've got one thieves' tool with you. On a 1, if it breaks, you are out of thieves' tools.
I don't think I can roll a 1, though.
No, you can't. You're halfling. Unless you roll 2 ones.
One. But there is a soft whisper that comes from the cell beside yours. So, what are you in here for? Seem to put this place in all quite a bit of a hustle and bustle.
And it's this guy right over here, right?
It's the cell immediately next to yours.
Token not shown.
Oh, well, the guards being idiots, deciding to you know, actually do their goddamn jobs and put an innocent person in here. I don't know why they're deciding to suddenly take an interest in me.
Well, you should probably consider yourself lucky. From what I can understand, there's somebody going around burning nobles' estates, putting the city in all manner of an uproar.
I'm sorry, what?
Is it your first time in the clink?
No. I've been in places like this before. First time in MistHaven.
First time in MistHaven's jails. Well, they're not so rough as others. You get 3 square meals a day. Not the freshest meal to be prepared, but it's edible at best. You gonna be sticking around long?
No, I'm not. I have a message to deliver.
Oh yeah, and what's that?
Who are you?
My friends call me Kima. What's your name?
Kevin.
Sorry, people are whispering.
Can Kevin, use her thieves' tool to get the manacles off of her?
Sure thing. Go ahead and roll me a sleight of hands check.
25.
And with an audible click of the lock, followed by a second click, you unlock the manacles, and with a vigorous rubbing of your wrists, you can start to feel your fingers once again.
God, I hate being inside of jails.
They are rubbed a little bit raw from how tightly they had you manacled, and with all the jerking they were doing on your chain.
I'm not going to say I'm going to kill him, but I'm going to make his life miserable.
You fancy yourself a bit skilled with those then?
Yeah, just a titch.
So you say you've been around other such cells before. Tell me, what's the worst thing you've ever done?
What's the worst thing you've ever done?
Well, I've killed a man in cold blood, but that's not why I'm here.
I'd rather not say. I barely know you, and I've already given you my name, so
That's fine. All well and good. I don't mean to push. Got nothing but time here.
What are you in for?
Well, seems a number of the guards don't take too kindly to dwarves. And despite the predetermined racism that's obviously behind some of their intent, I think I did nothing wrong.
Oh yeah, and what did you do to make
Well,
them?
that shopkeep is insisting that I cheated him and shorted him out of a good, honest day's pay. But I assure you that the wares that he was offering is worth nothing what the price he was asking for.
Can Kevin see the dwarf? Kevin Zara see the dwarf?
Not from around that wall because of the bars.
So wait, where is the dwarf? Right here?
To the south.
Well, that's just great. Okay. Any reason why they might think that you were shorting them?
Well, because I took them anyways. What's mine's mine. We had an agreement, and I was planning on sticking to it. What are we if not formed by our word, right? Our word is our bond and all that. honor amongst thieves and all.
Yeah. You manacled?
Not anymore.
Well, that's great. I'm going to try to get out of this place. You want in?
All right, I'm listening.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to sneak out of here. I'm going to give you one of my tools, and we can both go our separate ways because I have some juicy information that I need to tell people, and I don't know why they put me in here, but whatever. And Kevin is going to start on the lock.
All right. Go ahead and roll me a sleight of hands check. Ben, go ahead and roll me a perception check. As a bird.
25.
It's not too long before you hear the lock tumblers falling into place on the cell door, and you feel it click open an inch or two, and you hear the guard in that corner snort up a little bit, but he doesn't seem to stir otherwise. He still seems to be asleep.
God, what idiots. Kevin is going to gently open up the cell door and step out.
You just do what I think you just did.
What? Break out of what? Just walk out of the cell because I don't really respect the law? Yeah.
Well, respect's got nothing to do with it, sweetheart. If you value your life, you should probably step back in. You'd be better off making an attempt at shift change.
Why? What's the worst that's going to happen? And she's going to wander down to the cell and try to give him her thieves' tool, one of her picks.
You step around the way and you can see a gray-skinned dwarf inside of the cell with a fiery orange umber color to the lower half of her night black hair and these neon orange eyes staring back at you of the Duragar inside.
Does Kevin recognize this person?
You might.
Can Kevin roll to see if she recognizes this person?
You saw somebody fitting this description as the party was killing rat folk.
Down in the sewers?
Oh, one of Reverence's men.
Some of the party.
I'm not sure which half Zara was with whenever they spotted this.
Zara was off killing Thule at the time, if I recall.
That sounds correct.
This was Nari and Agrimar.
Nari, Callum, and Agrimar.
Yeah, we were in the back at that time.
So Zara, you see a Duragar inside of the cell next to you. She does look to be playing with a small, kind of, what looks to be a 6-inch brass rod.
What's with the rod?
That's how I'm getting out of here.
Really? What does it do?
Well, it makes things a bit easier than that stick you've got there.
Oh, really? And Kevin is going to lean down and start working on that lock.
Go ahead and roll me a sleight of hands check. The lock clicks open. Tumblers fall to the side, and the door starts to sway open.
Can you magic rod do that?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was built for.
Mm-hmm.
Rods of opening only serve one purpose.
Right. Any knowledge of how to get out of here besides the way we came in?
Well, you're going to want to go out from those doors up there. She gestures by the sleeping guard. You're going to want to take a couple of rights, follow down the main hallway, avoiding the training grounds, the cafeteria, and the dorm, the library, the study, and the storage. If we could make our way around to the bathrooms, I think I could take things from there. But if you're so intent on doing this now, we best make ourselves scarce before that one stirs himself awake.
Why, is there a better time? Is there a better time to do this?
Shift change, like I was telling you.
How long before the shift change?
I'd imagine no more than 6 hours or so.
And it was late afternoon, early morning, late afternoon, early afternoon.
Early afternoon when you got brought in.
And that shift change would happen at night, right?
Dinner time.
I don't have my wings with me.
You fancy yourself a bird?
No, I already... Oh, bird. No, almost. I think I gotta make my escape at night. Oh, well. Hey, you all down there. Want in on this?
You see a few of them start to perk up, spying you outside of your cell. As the guard by the door once again stirs a little bit as you call out to those in the cell. They start to approach the bars of their own cell and start a little bit of a commotion, shoving into one another to try and meet you face to face.
Hey, shut up, shut up, shut up. Look, I'm trying to break out of here because I'm completely innocent. How about this? If y'all manage to keep your voices, if you guys manage to keep your voices quiet, I promise you, during the next shift change, I'll bust you out of here, or I'll just unlock your cage that you're in. Got it?
I wouldn't advise that one, little dove.
Don't call me.
They're only going to be making more racket. The more you try and get out of here with you, the more of a hassle you're only making for yourself. Besides, we're not all so innocent as you.
Okay, you know what? Fine, whatever. I guess I'll just go back into my cell door and y'all can just waste away.
Well, no, fuck that, man. I don't want to be in here. You can't leave without us. We'll call for the guard.
Okay, so I think we're in an agreement here. I unlock your cell door. As soon as the shift changes, you guys will rush out and try to get out of here. I don't care what you have to do. Got it?
You got any weapons for us?
No.
All right. You think you can get this cell door open?
I'll open it when the guard changes their shift. I promise you that.
Kevin, go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
No, can I not? Can I just do a flip?
You could.
Come on, Kevin.
Do you want to try and persuade him with a flip?
An 11. Oh, I got a 12.
Yeah, sure. What's the plan for getting us out of here then? After we make a bit of a commotion, doing whatever we have to, we going out the front or the back?
It's all up to you. I'm just going to unlock this door, and you can do whatever you want.
All right, I think we can put up with a few more hours of this shite.
Great. Now keep your mouth closed.
And reluctantly, they start to step back away from the door and do a very poor job of looking nonchalant. This guy remains standing at the bars to his door as he just watches you make your way back to the north.
Kevin is going to point at him, and as she's walking away into her cell, like, act casual, dude. Come on. And
as he just sighs kind of a little bit too loudly before stepping to the side.
And to the dwarf, she's going to kind of look at him. Look, we're getting out of here, okay? Got it? Next shift change, okay?
All right, but don't expect me to be building you a statue in your sainthood honor.
I just need to get out of here.
All right, and you need a few scapegoats to see to it.
Hey, I just need I just need a distraction.
Exactly my point. Bit reckless, but to each his own, I suppose.
Believe me, someone taught me how to get out of prison like this before.
Kima steps up and then audibly clicks her door back closed.
Kevin is going
Right,
to...
so you've been through this sort of endeavor before.
Yeah, occasionally. I had some support. Unfortunately, I don't have that much.
Well, you seem to be quite familiar with those lockpicks of yours. You ever do any smuggling?
Here and there. Can't say it's my main form of income.
Livestock, foodstuffs, people, or weapons?
Weapons and items. What do you mean, people?
Have you ever smuggled people?
No.
You know, like manacled slaves or the like?
No.
All right then. Just you seem a bit familiar with jail is all.
Like I said, I know the inside. I know the inside of one pretty well, but I had friends who used to help me out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. You?
And what happened to these friends of yours? That's what I thought. Happens to a lot of those that you get close with when you're in this line of work.
Yeah, well, it was just some one asshole who decided to ruin everything.
Oftentimes, all it takes is one asshole to shit over all your plans.
Not just my plans.
Tell you what, we get out of here, I might know someone who's hiring. I could use someone of your particular skill set.
Really? Does his name rhyme with Coil?
Coil?
It's Boyle, right? Boyle, the guy who's in charge of the Thieves Guild?
Boyle is the Thieves Guild guy, yes.
Yeah. Does his name rhyme with Coil?
Not unless you spell it wrong.
Oh, really? And
Do
who's
you
this?
only work for people whose names rhyme with Coil?
And start with a B.
Well, then perhaps you wouldn't be interested.
I'm interested.
No worries, it's not for everyone.
Look, I said I'm interested. And Kevin's going to kind of lean back on her cell and just kind of take a deep breath and try to get some sleep, because I imagine she's really to the point of exhaustion.
All right. Meanwhile, the bird does spot a window near the front receptionist's desk. There are a couple of other windows throughout the Citadel. There's an open training ground near the back with no less than a dozen soldiers running all sorts of training drills. How would you like to attempt to approach?
So once I get a decent layout of the building, like how big is it?
Size of a small castle's keep. From the exterior, it's about this size. 180 feet square, corner to corner.
So, as a bird, I'm just going to keep kind of like circling, getting up on the roof, looking for all the potential entrances.
There is a stairwell that goes down from the roof that does not have any doors barring it from the inside, as they are currently ajar, and about half of the windows look to be closed.
Okay. If I can make it down, if I can go up to the roof, find that the open stairwell, I'm going to fly down that.
All
Just
right.
going to go flitting from place to place.
Go ahead and roll me a perception check. As you make your way into the Citadel, start swooping around through some of the rafters, trying your best to suss out where they might keep prisoners. So there is a doorway at the end of this hall that is closed that looks to lead back round towards the front of the Citadel, kind of nearby that receptionist's desk. That is presumably another hallway, at least before wherever the cells are at for holding prisoners.
Okay. Were any of the windows near the reception area open?
One of the windows near the reception area was open, but that reception area does not have any windows leading further into the Citadel.
But does it have like barred doors?
No,
Like
it's got wooden double doors leading out from the receptionist area, as well as one iron studded door that leads to the field marshal's office.
Because the only places with like the sort of typical barred doors is
back by
here.
The cells. Yeah.
Okay. Well. Let's see here.
Those are all the barred doors with the yellow mark by them, not counting the jail cells themselves.
Okay, greater invisibility only works for up to a minute. Okay. As a bird, Callum's just going to kind of go sit up here on top of what looks like a shelf.
All right.
And wait for someone to like open that door, and then he's going to fly through it.
Trying to swoop in unseen or just doing it quickly?
Just doing it quickly.
All right. So eventually a pair of guards does come by on their own watch. And as they make their way around, one does open the door for the other, giving you the opportunity to swoop in. And go ahead and roll me a dexterity check, please. As one is going to try and effectively just swat at you. Not with a weapon or anything, but just with his hand, seeing you swooping at the door he's walking through. That's a 12 to hit.
Oh, that probably hits.
Crap, sorry, I was muted. I've just been basing my rolls off of this giant eagle stat block.
Okay.
And it has an armor class of 13.
So he just misses as you swoop between the two guards. Bloody bird. But they pay you no further mind than that, and they continue on their patrol, closing the door behind them.
Oh, there's another door.
I keep kind of like flitting down this hallway, like looking for things to kind of sort of perch on.
There are a couple of sconces, but all of them look to be alight. This hallway in particular looks to have less clutter in about it.
Okay, well then I'll just fly down and like perch on what looks like one of those iron bar doors.
All right. And perching on those doors, you can see there is another guard around the corner that looks to have a number of keys behind his desk, as well as some books, journals, and the like. He's not paying any particular mind to the hallways in front of him, but he is effectively on duty.
All right, well in that case, I'm just going to keep like sort of flitting from perch spot to perch spot, sort of looking around like I might be looking for, you know, insects or something.
Yeah. As you come around this next stretch of hallway, it's another 80 feet or so before the next set of barred doors you can see around to the left. Coming around and perching on there, to your immediate right is an elderly guard that looks to be asleep, kind of just nuzzled into the corner with a couple of thuggish looking brutes inside of the